That investigation is now complete. The findings of the investigation are that the man whose voice in the recording and on a second recording from the same conversation that was released on Sunday, accordingly, effective immediately.
Adam Silver walked up to the mic looking like a man about to detonate a secret, and he did 10 words that ripped the roof off the WNBA. Effective immediately, Brittney Griner is banned for life. No qualifiers, no soft landing. In one breath, the league's most marketable face, a two-time Olympic gold medalist who could sell out an arena on a Tuesday night, was erased from highlight reels and shoe ads alike. Reporters froze, scrambling for context. Twitter feeds jammed as "permaban" trended worldwide. Sponsors yanked promo slots before the livestream even ended. Behind Silver's curt statement lay a months-long probe into alleged game rigging, leaked audio of locker room power plays, and whispers that Griner's influence stretched from referees' earpieces to front office spreadsheets. Within minutes, rival owners were dialing crisis consultants, rookies were side-eyeing teammates, and fans were left wondering if every buzzer beater they cheered was part of a script. And that was before the more explosive rumors, hidden medical files, commissioner cover UPS, and a legal team ready to burn the whole league down burst into the daylight. Buckle up. The story behind those 10 words goes deeper than anyone imagined. Silver's emergency presser didn't feel like a routine league update. It felt like a storm warning. Reporters were still squeezing into the briefing room when the commissioner cut the lights with a single line. Effective immediately, Brittney Griner is banned for life. Cameras clicked, then fell silent as the gravity sank in. The clip raced across social media faster than any highlight reel, crashing trending lists on every platform. Inside league offices, staffers scrambled to pull Griner's name from merchandising portals. Broadcasters rushed to replace pre-game packages built around her face. Nike's digital team yanked a banner that had topped its homepage for months, while ticketing partners rolled out refund notices for meet and greet packages that no longer existed. Even Vegas sportsbooks froze WNBA lines, citing integrity concerns, until official rosters could be verified. The fallout wasn't limited to money. Players on rival teams texted agents, asking if their own games were under review, and a handful of refs quietly requested schedule changes to avoid the spotlight. Silver had offered no timeline, no evidence in that moment, only the promise that the investigation's findings were too damning to ignore. By nightfall, every sports desk from ESPN to local affiliates was running split-screen debates. Was this courageous leadership or a PR-first cover-up? For fans who'd watched Griner lift trophies and slam home dunks, the ban felt surreal, almost theatrical. But as corporate partners began deleting tweets and rewriting promo scripts, one truth became unavoidable. The league had crossed a line it couldn't uncross, and there was no guarantee the brand would survive the shockwave intact. For nearly a decade, Brittney Griner was the WNBA's walking billboard, an athlete who could cram more buzz into a single highlight than some franchises managed in a season. She arrived in 2013 as a 6'9" phenom who turned layups into poster dunks and jersey sales into record-setting charts. Nike stamped her silhouette on city buses. ESPN ran mini-docs about her wingspan and world tour clinics. The league used her grin to pitch everything from overseas exhibitions to STEM outreach. She collected 2 Olympic golds, 8 All-Star nods, a Defensive Player of the Year stack thicker than a playbook, and a list of social justice initiatives that made her the media's go-to quote on everything from pay equity to global diplomacy. She was, in short, the proof of concept that women's hoops could deliver viral moments and blockbuster ratings. Yet that same gravitational pull also gave her leverage, choice practice times, marketing clauses, and, according to insiders, a behind-the-scenes sway that made some teammates whisper she was bigger than the badge. When the league needed a hero, she embraced the cape. When it needed controversy silenced, rumor says execs massaged schedules, glossed over fines, and swallowed bad headlines to keep the cash cow grazing. But influence is a double-edged sword. By 2024, every missed handshake, skipped media day, or sideline glare sparked Reddit sleuthing about a superstar too big for the playbook. So the moment Adam Silver slammed the gavel, Griner's legacy flipped from trailblazer to cautionary tale, proof that a league can celebrate you on Monday and ghost you by Friday if the cost of your stardom outweighs the value of your highlights. But whispers rarely die quietly, and the ones ones swirling around Griner were about to roar, because the red flags people ignored were now primetime evidence. Whispers about Brittney Griner had been rattling around practice gyms for years, gathering like storm clouds even as highlight reels kept the sun shining. Teammates traded stories of missed walkthroughs and suddenly optional film sessions that only Griner could skip without consequence. Equipment staff muttered about late-night phone calls demanding jersey swaps because a sponsor wanted fresh photos by morning. One veteran claimed refs tightened whistles when Griner barked, swearing he'd seen technicals rescinded in real time after a quick courtside chat. Then came the protocol skips, mandatory health screenings blown off, a concussion test delayed so she could finish a branded TikTok shoot, fines quietly absorbed by marketing budgets. Front office emails, later leaked, showed executives debating whether to discipline her or protect the narrative while ticket sales spiked. Even rival players noticed odd momentum swings, a borderline travel no-call here, an N1 whistle there, always when the stakes peak. By late 2024, sports blogs were charting suspicious patterns, games where foul counts flipped after halftime or where Griner's team got 5 extra free throws in the closing minute. Each data point alone looked like noise. Together they formed a siren. The league's leadership still insisted everything was clean, but behind closed doors security consultants were already cross-checking referee assignments against betting lines. Those hushed conversations would soon spill into the open, because the rumors weren't just about attitude anymore. They were inching toward the one accusation no sport survives. Did someone rig the game? Investigators followed a trail of weird statistics and late-night messages that made the idea of honest competition look naive. They mapped every game where foul counts veered off the usual averages, noting how those swings almost always tilted in Griner's favor during tight playoff races. Betting analysts flagged point spread shifts that lined up with mysterious spikes in online wagers placed minutes before tip-off. Forensic techs dug into phone records and found a cluster of calls between Griner, 2 veteran referees, and a mid-level team staffer on mornings when her club desperately needed a win to stay in the standings hunt. Most damning was a voicemail, quietly leaked to league security, of a voice matching Griner's outlining pressure points in the second quarter, to a ref who replied, "Got it, we can adjust." One internal memo revealed that privately hired statisticians had already warned the front office about statistically improbable free throw disparities tied to specific officiating crews. Yet games rolled on, networks aired highlights, and fans celebrated buzzer beaters that now look suspiciously convenient. By the time investigators compiled the data set, dozens of abnormal foul patterns, odd substitution timings, and replay reviews that reversed obvious calls, the integrity panel concluded they were staring at more than coincidence. The report landed on Adam Silver's desk with a recommendation that left no wiggle room. If the league wanted to keep public trust, it had to erase the player at the center of the scheme. But even that drastic step could not silence the next question. Who inside the league saw the same red flags and chose to look away? Commissioner Kathy Engelbert wasn't just late to the fire alarm. Emails suggest she may have been the one muffling the smoke detectors. Internal correspondence, leaked after Silver's ban went public, shows league lawyers warning Engelbert as early as January that officiating anomalies around Griner presented significant integrity risks. Instead of launching a full probe, she forwarded the memo to PR, asking for talking points that reinforce our commitment to fairness. When a second warning arrived, this time attaching betting line analysis that looked impossible to shrug off, she replied, "Let's manage optics first. Competitive review can follow." Sources say Engelbert feared a mid-season scandal would tank the league's new broadcast deal and spook the sneaker brands lining up for summer campaigns. Her strategy: keep the lid on, ride the ratings, pray the whispers stayed whispers. That gamble backfired spectacularly once Silver's independent audit unearthed referee call logs and locker room audio no media spin could bury. Now the commissioner finds herself under an internal ethics review, accused of prioritizing ticket revenue over rule enforcement and leaving players to wonder if every final whistle had a price tag. Engelbert hasn't spoken publicly since the ban, but insiders claim she's lawyering up, bracing for hearings that could strip her of the very office she tried to protect. And her silence left a vacuum, one that a pair of rookies were about about to fill with testimony no PR sheet could sanitize. The turning point came when two rookies, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, walked into a secured conference room and told investigators everything they had seen. Clark described nights when routine fouls vanished the moment Griner glared at a ref, and she handed over text screenshots that showed teammates joking about pre-approved calls. Cunningham followed with a flash drive of practice court audio, a voice the league later confirmed as Griner's outlining which officials respond best to early pressure. Investigators synced those clips with game film and saw the pattern light up like a heat map. Even veterans who had tried to stay neutral felt the chill when they heard Griner's voice discuss foul leverage before a critical playoff game. One longtime ref, subpoenaed after the leak, admitted he had taken what he called feedback from Griner's inner circle but claimed it never changed his calls, an answer that crumbled once analysts matched his whistle rate to those suspicious betting spikes. By the end of that week, the integrity panel had sworn statements from 5 players, 2 assistant coaches, and a replay center technician. Their testimonies painted the same picture: a superstar who treated the rulebook like a menu and a league too nervous about headlines to push back. With that evidence logged, Silver's office stopped speaking in hypotheticals. The case file was complete, the ban was unstoppable, and Griner's camp knew a counterattack had to be fast, loud, and ruthless, or everything she had built was about to turn to ashes. Griner's camp wasted no time. Within 24 hours, her attorneys filed a notice of appeal, demanded a temporary injunction that would force the league to disclose every shred of evidence, and blasted a 14-page statement to every sports desk in the country. Their message was simple: she is no cheater, she is a scapegoat. They argued the investigation was rushed, the data cherry-picked, and the leaks timed to crush public sympathy before she could speak. In back-channel calls leaked to reporters, her lead counsel promised depositions that would pull referees, executives, and even Commissioner Engelbert into sworn testimony. Griner's publicist booked a primetime interview slot, hinting they would expose systemic biases that went far beyond one player's box scores. Meanwhile, insiders say her legal team has secured a forensic audit on the league's own analytics, betting partnerships, and disciplinary records, anything that might show selective enforcement or double standards. Sponsors who dropped her found cease and desist letters on their desks, accusing them of breach of contract. Social media hashtags flipped overnight from #RiggedLeague to #StandWithBG, fueled by fans who believe the ban masks deeper corruption. And just when the league thought it had contained the fallout, Griner's lawyers teased a second front: sealed medical documents that, if unsealed, could spin the controversy into an entirely different storm. That threat alone sent executives into midnight strategy calls, because if those files see daylight, the scandal shifts from game integrity to identity ethics, and the fallout could dwarf anything we've seen so far. The league thought the match-fixing angle would dominate headlines, but an older, far more volatile rumor elbowed its way back into the spotlight. Whispered claims that Brittney Griner might not meet the WNBA's eligibility standards on biological grounds, and that top brass allegedly knew and kept it silent to protect a billion-dollar brand. Overnight, screenshots of supposed medical summaries, unverified, partially redacted, circulated on Reddit threads like forbidden texts, while a disgruntled former team doctor hinted on a podcast that competitive parity concerns were suppressed for marketing reasons. Civil rights attorneys pounced, arguing that if the league did mask any gender-based advantage, it could trigger Title IX blowback and open the door to class action lawsuits from players who lost bonuses, roster spots, or championship shares. Sponsors faced whiplash. One diversity initiative issued a supportive tweet, only to yank it an hour later after investors demanded clarity. A rival sports drink giant threatened to void its contract unless the WNBA produced independent verification of every athlete's eligibility process. Advocacy groups splintered, some framing Griner as a trailblazer silenced by outdated rules, others calling for a transparent review to preserve fair play, turning social media into a trench war of hashtags and think piece threads. The league's silence amplified the chaos. Engelbert's office ignored press requests, Silver's spokespeople offered a tight no comment, and a planned WNBA Cares PSA was quietly shelved when its narrator refused to read the script. Meanwhile, Griner's lawyers teased the release of sealed records that will expose decades of selective enforcement. Daring the the league to block them and risk appearing to hide discrimination. What began as a question of crooked whistles now threatened to pry open a Pandora's box of identity politics, athletic equity, and corporate cover upis. And the next chapter, whether the league likes it or not, could redraw every boundary line in women's basketball. Sponsors are panicking, networks are hedging, and the locker rooms feel colder than ever, because when a league's cornerstone crumbles, every pillar gets stress tested. Overnight, a sneaker giant froze a multi-million-dollar campaign featuring the rookie class, demanding full transparency on competitive safeguards. 2 regional broadcasters invoked force majeure clauses to renegotiate rights fees, citing material reputational damage. Ticket sales dashboards, once buoyed by a post-draft boom, now flash refund requests from parents uneasy about the sport's future. Inside team facilities, veterans trade wary glances while rookies huddle around group chats titled Plan B. Overseas, agents report a spike in European scouts circling for talent bargains, sensing North American uncertainty. Even youth coaches feel the ripple. High school prospects suddenly ask whether scholarship committees will dock them for choosing a league under investigation. And through it all, the WNBA's PR channel drips only brief statements about ongoing reviews, leaving fans to piece the narrative from leaks and speculation. Adam Silver faces a treacherous tightrope: move too slow and lose the public. Move too fast and risk exposing skeletons that could bankrupt goodwill. Meanwhile, rival leagues scent opportunity, overseas clubs pitch stability, the NBA G League touts its infrastructure, and a startup women's Super League floats on social media promising clean basketball, clean slate. In boardrooms and barbershops alike, the once rising WNBA now looks like an empire on the edge, with every insider asking the same uneasy question: can the brand survive one more revelation, or will the next headline be the final push over the cliff? So here we are, the league's brightest star erased, its leadership under fire, and every fan left wondering whether the sport they love has been honest all along. Was Brittney Griner the architect of her own downfall or a pawn in a deeper game of corporate self-preservation? Did officials look the other way because winning headlines mattered more than fair play? Or is this lifetime ban really the cleanup the WNBA needed all along? I want to hear where you stand. Drop your take below, and don't hold back. If you're after the full story, not the polished press release, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you're first in line when the next layer of truth peels back, because this saga is nowhere near the final buzzer.